everybody, and welcome to Chattable, Hollywood stories, insights, and overshares. Brought to you by the team at Actors Comedy Studio. I am your host, Gunnar Rohrbacher. Hey, Devin, I'm excited too. We're gonna have a good time today. So what is Chattable? Chattable is an informal conversation series with notable industry guests, and we are glad to have you in attendance today. So my first guest of 2021 is talent manager Brandon Cohen of Buck Talent. Hello, Brandon. Are you there behind the name?
I'm there. I try to hit the video. Did it work?
No.
Oh wait, here we go.
There you are. Hello and happy Friday afternoon to you.
Freezing in Los Angeles.
What is up with that? We had a heat wave a couple weeks ago, remember?
Now it's not.
Now it's freezing, but you got your hoodie on. You're looking sporty. I got my jacket. Good to see you, friend. So let's get started. I thought I absolutely have some questions for you about managing talent and representing talent. Sorry, I have to backtrack for just 1 second. My producer Tiffany is helping out. So, hey, all of our guests, I'm going to talk to Brandon for a bit, and we will have a Q&A period. So have your questions ready. Tiffany is going to help moderate. And good evening from London, UK. They have come from literally all over the world to talk to you, Brandon. Yeah, so I'd like to get to know you a little bit better too, and have it be a little bit personal. So I'm going to start with this. What was your path to becoming a talent manager?
I actually started working for Law and Order as a production assistant, and then I got to understand the scope in front of the scenes and behind the scenes. And then from working with a lot of actors on set per day and dealing with everything behind the scenes, I decided I wanted to be involved in talent management. I went to high school and performing arts. I've always was in the industry. I was, my parents put me as a child actor. I always was on audition, so I really know the behind the scenes. And then I went to a school in New Jersey called FPAC, which is one of the top. The first one, obviously, is LaGuardia in New York, and I went to that one. So I have a real well-rounded about actors and acting, and in that program I studied Uta Hagen, Strasberg, and Meisner technique. So that's about me quickly.
Fantastic. So you grew up on the East Coast then?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah. Awesome. So I understand that you are also a certified occupational therapist. Is that true?
I do for OT. I went to school for OT. I work with children with special needs. I was actually started doing respite working, as a respite worker working with two families in New Jersey, and I went to school. And then in between that, certifications and different things with, I actually jumped around to two different colleges during this time because I had my business marketing degree as well. So I went to, I did that, and then I had to transfer credits. So it's been a wild run for me in my early career, I would say.
But you work with at least one foundation I know of, Autism Speaks, and you also work fundraising. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I do a lot of fundraising with, especially with Autism Speaks. My mom was a school teacher in Staten Island for children with special needs. So that's where I got my way of learning of what autism was and how an early intervention therapy and OT and ABA, which is called applied behavior analysis. And, I working with the family, I learned a lot of that through the therapist that would come to the home. So it's one of the most passionate things that I work on in charities. I do a lot for children with autism.
So you're a good person too, and talented and educated. Get out of here. Um, what is it like to produce a fundraising event on a large scale?
It's it's preparation. And I think, when you're acting, you have to prepare your scene and your sides. Same thing as producing an event. Getting my team together, getting the step repeat together. Then you have the step repeat, but then you need the lights, the red carpet. You need your publicist running the carpet. You need to make sure the logos are properly on the step and repeat, and make sure your sponsor taken care of. That's just one little aspect. Then you have sound for all your celebrities, then you have flights and car services, then you have gift bags, and then you have just running the whole show, and then you have food, and then you have to, if you're doing it at home, you have to make sure you have the right permits in place. And then there's so much involved with just producing an event people don't realize behind the scenes. But doing so many events now, I have a checklist now, and I make sure that I cross off everything, even as going to a home and making sure that the electric is good enough for all the sound equipment so it doesn't blow out the whole house. So you have to be really you have to be really careful in what you do, because if you make one mistake, you can ruin your whole entire event.
Do people get mad if they don't get their swag?
Everyone gets their swag at my events.
It's like, Gunnar, there's no mistakes. No mistakes are made at a Brandon Cohen event. Okay. Yeah, I mean, we're going to have so many questions about representation. I just wanted to talk a little bit about the other aspects of your life because, well, I think it's important as a creative to know how to do more than one thing. I mean, obviously you're living a life that agrees with that. I think the wider net that you can cast, the more opportunities you have just to meet people and network, and having more than one skill is a way to grow your network of collaborators. Would you agree?
For sure, I would agree.
Do you represent actors, writers, both, more categories than that?
I have one writer client that I represent now. And then I have, of course, actors, and then I have music artists as well. The music artists that I rep are pretty well known. So, I don't rep new artists right now. I'm because more of that is a mixture of management comes with PR and helping out when you need to. And I think as a good manager, when your client needs you on the red carpet and needs you to help with certain press opportunities, you need to be there for them for every opportunity. I think that's what a manager is all about, is being there all the time.
Yeah, that kind of goes to my next direct question, which is, well, a lot of people ask me as a full-time teacher, what's the difference between an agent or a manager, or what should I expect? And it's fair questions, especially if you're just coming into the business. But my answer is always, it really depends on the person. I mean, there are pretty clear definitions of submitting talent for appropriate roles that are consistent. But beyond that, I really think it's a matter of your personality and style. Would you agree?
For sure, I would agree. I mean, the manager is also there to fight for you, to call the casting director, to also pitch for you and be there and try to get you into the room and working with the agent.
Yeah. So what is do you find that casting and producers are open to pitches still in this fast moving 2021 world? Yeah, they
Have a
are.
relationship, yes. Or let's go back. If you don't have a relationship, yes, you still can pitch, but you really need to make sure that you're pitching the most appropriate person for that role. So when you do that pitch and someone doesn't really know you, you're really grabbing their attention, and the way you format your email, the way you're pitching to them is professional.
Yeah, absolutely. So generally speaking, what do you look for when you sign new talent?
I look for a lot of different things. The biggest thing is, do you have footage? And looking at the footage, do you have a comedy reel? Do you have a comedy reel, a drama reel? Do you just have clips? Do you have 30 seconds of certain moments? Do you play that nurse or the techie or the detective? Can I see you playing all different types of roles? Can I see your headshots? Do you only have one headshot? Do you have three or four? Can I put you in different categories? Do you have improv? Do you not have improv? Do you have a special skill set like fire thrower, or something like, dancing, hip hop, or doing something that is a specialty? What makes you stand out? I think the biggest thing is footage first, headshot second, resume next.
Mm. Yeah, have you seen an evolution in footage being increasingly important and able to in order to be able to move clients forward?
These days footage is so important because due to the pandemic and stuff, everything is not in person, so there's a lot of direct offer roles now through reel, and you should make sure that your reel's in a downloadable file. It's super important. If you're on if you're on Google and I type your name in and it's on YouTube, it's not going to work because I have to literally email a downloadable file to casting for that reel. So you need to make sure that your team has your reel downloadable on their desktop or it's on a Dropbox file, and or you can have a Google Drive folder too, but you just need to make sure that it's ready to go. And what I tell my actors is you should email your reel to your own email like once every 2 weeks. So it's at least on the top of your phone on your email, because especially an iPhone, sometimes it's not as easy as to search very fast, and some you never know when you need it. And just because I have your reel in my database, if I'm on the road, because we're also human too, or if I go for a tea break to get tea, because I'm not a coffee drinker, so I get tea at Starbucks. But I think it's important that you know if I text you, you have it ready to go. So being prepared as well, and just a little trick, because and there has to be a way in your phone too. I mean, if you have a Dropbox app, then it's 1, 2, 3, and you can send it. But I would just say that.
Smart. It's a really good tip. And then, of course, that would, I assume you'd also want all of the footage updated regularly on Actors Access and the online profiles.
Usually you said every year, you change it. I mean, it gets expensive to update reels and stuff. It does. So always put your best work first. And the first 30 seconds need to capture you. So in the reel. And if you book something 4 months later, I would be putting it as a special clip on the systems, not into the reel. So I have something that I can pitch that 30 or 40 seconds. I think it's important in a reel. I don't always pitch the reel as a full thing unless it's an offer only role, because you may have other stuff in the reel that doesn't pertain to that show or role or that type of show. You know, it could, so it's super important that you have the clips broken down. I think that's more important for casting to see, so it doesn't also waste time of going through 2, 3 minutes when a cast director can look at 30, 40 seconds and say, oh, that's the person I want.
It's fantastic. I'm sure that's very helpful for a lot of people watching right now. Aside from whether they have the basics or not, like the headshot, reel footage, et cetera, that you just listed, are there any red flags or immediate turnoffs to you if someone approaches you about representation?
The biggest red flag is they don't check their website link. So when they send it to me, I open it up and then it doesn't work. Uh, it's super, and it happened actually twice today. So like, you guys have to, before you send an email out to your rep, I mean to an an agent or a manager, please send it to yourself first and make sure it opens up. That's like a red flag. The second thing is in emailing is their structure. I like certain things in the email, but now that we're on Chattable, now you'll know that. But I like your Actors Access link. I don't want your headshot and resume in an attachment, because if your Actors Access link is there, or your Casting Networks or Casting Frontier link, I can literally open it up and see your whole profile 1, 2, 3. And what's super important is I'm using these systems to pitch and submit you. There's also a pitch note section where I can pitch you as well. So if that is not up to date as an actor, then why would I even want to speak with you? Because that means whoever was working with you before, or maybe if you're freelancing, and it needs to be marketable. So when I can submit your size card, if there's a role that requires a special height, it's skill sets, like that link is your Bible to your career. Your headshots, your reels, your footage, everything about you should be on that link, because that's what we use as reps and also casting directors is what they use. They use the three big systems in town. So I think it's important to make sure that it's up to par. So we have the best marketing tools to pitch you. Because when I pitch, I use that link and then I write my special line and then I put like your type in it as well. And what I want, I do some interesting things, but I think it's important.
I feel like you take pride in taking good care of your actors and their careers. I can hear it come through in your answers.
Like when email, the type is super important. So when you put your name in the subject line, make it look like a breakdown. So if the role name should be your name, and then the description should be your type in the subject line or in the body of the email. So at least there's a something that's very why am I gonna actually open up the button? Because we get a lot of emails today. So like a type could be something like smart, elitist. It could be something like Patrick Dempsey, Bradley Cooper, smart, strong, charming, or it could be something like an aspiring lawyer or a social worker. It could be something well spoken, white collar. It could be someone nurturing, down to earth, sharp professional woman. It could be something that's like slightly abrasive, corporate professional. Maybe someone with a questionable moral compass. Maybe someone, it could be something sophisticated, professional. So these are types.
Oh, fantastic. I got particularly excited about the questionable moral compass person. That's who I want to be. Uh, so I get a lot of questions that come in a lot of different forms, but I think they all end up to the same point, really, which is how to have a successful, how does talent have a successful relationship with their representatives? So, and even before I throw it to you, I'll give you some examples. I feel like they're not doing anything for me. I never hear from them. I want to know X, Y, or Z. What's the right way to do it? I know what my answers are, but you're the professional guest today on this. So what do you think about that?
I think it's the actor's job to communicate. I think the biggest problem is communication. If you don't text your rep or email or make a phone call, we have no idea if you're booked out or not. So I think it's also your job too to be on top of your career. And if you want I'm very good at communication. There's actors who text me all day long. But I think there's a way of when you're doing that. You can't be texting your rep every single day. It's way too much and it's too over exhausting. I think you need to be wise when you reach out. And when you reach out, it's not just hi. Because people will text me today, hi, and like, hi. Like what do you want? Like what do you want? Because we're busy, right? So you need to text and say, hi, my name is so and so, because sometimes people don't realize just because I use my cell phone and you're in a pandemic, I can be using my iMessage, which doesn't have your name saved because Apple needs to figure that out, but it only saves certain things. So you just be professional. Hi, I'm Nick Jonas, and I am looking to speak with you today or at your earliest convenience about blah 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 blah. Like I rep some notable names, and I try to be on the phone every time they call. And there's sometimes where I'm on another line, so I will text them back and say, hey, can I get back to you in 30 minutes? Or I can get back to you in 15 minutes. And most likely the person will say yes. And if they can't, then we reschedule for a different time. And if you just cold call, that's fine too. If I'm available, I will pick up my phone and answer. If I'm not available, I'm probably on the other line. I'm not just sitting there thinking, what should I do next? No, I'm not doing that. So my ear is hurts at the end of the day because it's red. So that's how it's. Just be wise when you do that, and just be very specific. I think it's important. Hi, my name is this, because I just so it's good to have it on my phone so I know. So sometimes when I'm busy, there's an email that comes out or there's another breakdown that comes out, I can just look at my phone and I know, oh, I need to call her back. So it's just right away. It's just another great resource to use besides putting it in my Google Calendar, which is fine and all, but it's nice when it's on my phone because it's literally right next to me and I can just glance at it quickly if I'm doing something else. So I would just be careful when you reach out all the time, because some reps don't like you reaching out all the time. But as a manager, you can reach out anytime you want, or an agent. I think you just have to reach out and say what you want. A lot of people reach out. I think what the negatives, they reach out and they just say, I just want to talk to you. And that's nice and all. And I would love to talk to you too, but when it's during the day, at least like 10 a.m. to like at least 4 o'clock, when breakdowns are crazy busy, just to shoot the shoot is not really the beneficial thing. If you want to shoot, just shoot, you know, and an in-depth conversation about your career, I like it after at least 5 o'clock when breakdowns slow down, so then I can actually spend more time with you than 1 minute and then getting you off the phone. So I think it's super important. But I do my best always. I mean, actors will tell you that I represent. You text me back, I text you back right away, and that is a form of communication. So I get back almost in like seconds to 5 minutes or less. So I'm pretty good at communication.
Sounds like you are. I remember when I was a young actor going out frequently, I had a pager. It sounds funny to say now, doesn't it? But I did. I'd be like, oh, I have to call my agent back, guys. I just got paged. Um, what is the difference, in your opinion, between working for a big agency and working for yourself?
The big difference is people have to make a certain quota, and I don't. So at certain agencies, people actually have to make a certain amount of money per month or two. That's not the case with me. Another big thing at big agencies is sometimes you can get lost in the shuffle. Um, but at the same time, if that agent believes in you, there can be, maybe we call, hip hocking or something like that. So it really depends. But I work with so many big talent agencies. I you know and I don't really have a problem actually working with them. I think it's useful and benefit for a manager to work with some of the big agencies, because you get access to information that you may not have access to. So I think it is important to, have contacts in that. But I think the biggest difference is sometimes people always say is getting lost in the shuffle sometimes, or, you know, um, they're frantic trying to get that quota, which some agencies, this is more of a modeling agency thing than I would say theatrical. But I would say, the biggest thing is size of roster. And also big agencies, different than a smallest, sometimes they may have just A-listers and focusing on those really specific offers and opportunities for them. And the smaller agencies could have A-listers as well, but has a little bit different kind of roster, more of the co-star, guest star, and series regular clients, doing a little bit more of everything. Sometimes the bigger agencies only focus on the series regulars only, and guest star or recurring. They don't do anything that's below that. Or I guess in producing we would call it below the line, but that's not that. That's just a joke. But you know,
No, I understand. There comes a point in a lot of actors' careers as they level up where they at least maybe consider whether or not to stop going out or submitting for co-stars or guest stars. And I understand historically, you know, in earlier times of show business, why you would need to make that decision. I see people go both ways on this, meaning they can really be a quite notable actor, but if it's the right crew and maybe the right connection, or maybe a network or a writer they haven't met before, they will go out for a smaller part. So do you have a take on how actors should navigate when they start minimizing smaller roles?
or what, to get with a bigger agency.
Well, I just mean to submit, whether they're with an independent person like yourself or WME. What would be your advice if I said I only want to go out for series regulars now?
Well, I have to look at your resume and footage and like, are you ready to be that? Are because I pitch people at Gersh and big agencies and who are serial regular, and they'll say, no, that person's not for us. They're not being rude. They're That's still a developmental client for them because they don't have a current recurring role or a current series regular right now. So to them, that is more in development for them, you know. But then there's a lot of junior agents at those big agencies who need to become that big honcho agent, right? So they have to then take on clients that are also in that break mark of, yes, I had a series regular, but it was 2017, now we're 2021. I know the potential, but I think as a good manager, if someone says to me, I want series regular only, then I only pitch them to series regular only. You have to listen to what they want. But also I say, well, do you have an agent that can do those series regulars and packaging? Because sometimes the agents that rep the big directors and producers know about they know their client really well, so they know about the project before it's even getting to a casting process. And that's why everyone wants to be with the big agencies, is because they rep the big producers and directors. So when a script is coming and they're not even a casting director hired, they already know internally, we want to package this person, this person, this person to sell before. And then when a casting director does come on board, now the casting director is helping with all the other series regulars as well that wasn't packaged in that I guess investor or production meeting or agency meeting, and the other guest star, co-star, recurring roles, etc. So I think it's important. That's why I think a lot of people want to be with the big agency, because they want to be always that sexy word, package. I want to be packaged. I don't know if that ultimately at the end of the day really works for your career. um, if you're a good guest star or series regular client, you need to see, well, what does that agency have and what are they doing currently that can get you into certain rooms for that, or to be test, for those roles. So I think it can go both ways, but I think as a manager, I submit for every opportunity for my client. I also listen to my client. My client only wants one thing, wants just a series regular. I'll just pitch for that series regular, and I'll track it to see how many callbacks did we get. Did we get any appointments? Do you have an agent as well that we are working with to work on that series regular for you? Do you not? If you don't, who can I call that I may know? And I will call, my first three people first. I'm not going to go out to everyone and see who's interested for meetings. I think it's wise to have at least two or three meetings. If one person is just having a meeting and that's it, then you have to make a decision with your manager and the actor and say, okay, this is the only person that's interested at this time. Do we feel that this person can enhance your career? So I think it's just a partnership and a team when it comes to that, because sometimes there's only is one person interested, and sometimes there's three and four and five that are people are interested, and then it's a really difficult decision to make. So I think it's important. I think listening and communicating and listening to your client is key.
Do you have any advice for actors on what they can do to feel active and productive in the times between auditions? Because we both know there's so many. There's a lot of actors, but there's incredibly talented actors that maybe week to week, month to month, even there's not a match for them in the breakdowns. And they're still viable. They still absolutely should be working, but they're not. What would you suggest?
I think research is important, and Googling, Googleable, I guess I would call it, is, you know, um, is there any workshops? Is there any classes? Is there any teachers that I can get with? Is there any can I maybe create my own content in this time and have a great scene partner, or two or three? Can I create that? I think there's many different options. I think getting all new headshots, and doing a fresh new look. Maybe the headshot just not really working, or maybe you see yourself as one way but the rep sees yourself as another way and is trying to get you into that niche market as well, of that role that maybe the rep knows you can do that role, but in your mind you're like, I don't really want to do that, because a lot of actors say that, oh, I only want to do dramas, or I don't want to do comedy, or I'm only good at this. And sometimes the rep sees something in you that you don't see. And it's important that the rep then calls you and says, I want you to really try it this way and do it this way, or do this scene this way. I think it's important. Just like an acting coach would do and say, can you do this scene this way? Oh, can you do it this way? Can I give you a note here? And then fix that note. And then, I did something yesterday and I gave note to two actors, and immediately they're like, oh my God, I never thought about that. And when I made that note, the scene was like 100 times better. So I think it's super important that you just listen, and if there's always a question, get it. But there's so many opportunities. There's so many, even Instagram and Facebook. There's so many Instagram lives and Facebook. I have a few on my Instagram page right now, that I save from major casting directors. So you can get free information without paying for it. And I think you just have to research. And I think you need to text your actor friends, because they also are the best resource for you. They're in other classes with other people. They're talking to other producers and other agents and other casting directors, and they have a lot of good information. And I think that's why it's important to have these relationships with not just your reps and casting, but also other actor friends. When you need to get a self-tape opportunity and you don't know how to have that great lighting and the backdrop. My lighting is not great right now, but I'm doing, but I have, at least it's white wall, it's clean, but I'm at my desk literally right now. So I think it's important to know that there's so many other opportunities to get into the business. Maybe you want to try voiceovers. Maybe, you're not doing well in one area. Why don't you try something else that you never explored before, and work on something else? So I think there's so many opportunities in this business to make money. I think you just need to think ahead of the game.
Yeah. Oh, what a great answer. That's very smart. I'm laughing at one of the comments in the chat, not you. Uh, good. So you
I don't even know there.
are you are an advocate of casting director workshops then?
Cast director workshops that teach you and help you with the scene and guide you to make you, get better in your craft. I think that's the whole point of a workshop, is to um, work on the scene and give them advice and fix things and help them and look at their headshot and say, no, I want you to maybe change it for this, or that background doesn't work. So I think that's what a casting director is good at.
Yeah, no, I agree because we host casting director workshops at Actors Comedy Studio, but I pay very close attention and I vet the people that come in. And I want to work with people who are absolutely making it an educational experience, but it
Mhm.
remains an option on how you can spend your time and your dollars and network and meet other people who are making the industry happen. And I think that's
Mhm.
just so important. Um, I wonder your thoughts. So, I mean, you're a bi-coastal person. Your agency is bi-coastal, and I know it's tough to think about, but Broadway's just gotten hammered in the pandemic, and I'm just wondering, have you thought about that, or do you have any thoughts on how Broadway slash really any live entertainment, because those are performing jobs too, how it's going now and how it might recover in the coming year?
So I don't rep Broadway actors. My niche is TV, film, voiceover, and commercial. I do rep a lot of Broadway actors that are in my roster for theatrical. I just don't, submit for the Broadway shows. I have a few people on Broadway that I negotiated contracts for because they needed someone to negotiate. So I did come in and help on that. And that's why I have that account. But I think how I see the theater, which I love going to theater and watching, by the way. It's something that I do enjoy a lot. And when Disney Plus was the first one, I believe, to put Hamilton on, and that's what started this whole interesting trend in the business of Broadway bringing to TV, right? And there's a lot of interesting things about that. Some people don't like it. Some people say, well, the love of the theater is, having that audience and playing and all the, everything about that. But I also think it's also super valuable to put it on TV because it gets you millions of eyes on you and more people that may not be able to get to the theater all the time because they're busy at work. And it could be a casting director or a big producer that can't get to the theater all the time and can see you on TV and on a weekend, and they can spend an hour, but they can't just travel to the city because maybe they're living in a different state. So I think there's a lot of benefits of having Broadway on TV. I think I'm not one of the biggest streamer networks, but if I was the CEO of some of the biggest networks, I would definitely be negotiating deals with the Broadway actors and the management companies of the Broadway shows to be putting the shows on TV because it would give a bigger opportunity for people to see the show, number one, see your craft, see your work, see the entertainment. Yes, we all want to go in person, but I think it also can be beneficial for you. There's one person, his name is Aaron Tveit, and he's a Broadway star. He's also a TV star, and he's also a movie star. But he started on Broadway, and one show that he did that I love a lot is called Next to Normal. And after Next to Normal, he went into Les Mis, I believe, into the movie right away. And then he went to a TV show right there. So there's a lot of transitioning happening, and he's doing it, and it's working. And I guarantee if he got offered a Broadway show, he would be back on it. But then you have to look at the live shows. Look at Rent that was live. They do a lot of they take certain shows, some of the ABC, CBS, whatever, I forget, Fox, and they do the network and they do the live performance. Like Queen Latifah just did something, right? And it was live. So maybe we can bring more of that liveness, that you have on stage, but on TV. It's a very interesting thing, but I think theater will come back. But after, COVID is really kind of at its low point, to have that many people in seats, because that could really ruin a show if that one person has COVID and everyone else leaves that show, then there's no show. So I think digitally, we're in 2021. I think we need to move to the digital space. Everything is going digital, so why not? And and make sure the contracts are fair for the Broadway performers, what they get for their show for TV, because TV is on. It could be a licensing thing. It could be on for one day. Hamilton, I think, is on right now, but that's the negotiating thing with the producers. And then every actor needs to come on board. And I think if you all come on board as, one, and you guys have that, you're powerful, the networks are going to listen to you. And I think there could be a huge market for Broadway actors in the digital space currently.
I'm so glad I brought that up. I feel like I turned your producer switch on, is what I feel like, Brandon. That was really a very thoughtful, comprehensive answer on the state of affairs. It's a very tricky time navigating all of this. And, I try to get excited. There's some tough stuff to think about in the world right now, but I get excited about digital life and the opportunities. I try to stay with the light as much as I can. But there are opportunities within all of this, and there are some things that have been made easier. I mean, we don't have to drive as much. We don't have to park as much. That does buy us time as talent, I think, to spend more time prep, etc. And I know you make yourself very available on the social media platforms. One I don't think that has come up yet is Clubhouse. Should everyone know about Clubhouse? Should people be on it? Is it a passing phase? What is it, Brandon, tell me all about Clubhouse.
I'm on Clubhouse. Is that why you know?
I know. I've
um,
listened to one of you. I've snuck in. I'm also on Clubhouse. Yeah, I'm trying to find some time to host some meetings.
Clubhouse is a digital platform. It's like an Instagram or a Facebook just with audio. So the biggest thing that Clubhouse offers is that you never know who's going to be in your chat room. So in the chat room, you have these bubbles, and the bubbles are your headshots. And you can then when you click on those bubbles, you can see their bio and their Instagram, which gives you direct marketing tools directly to your Instagram page, which means you need to make sure that your Instagram is up to date and the right captions and the right things you're doing are important because now people are going to be looking at you. And I think what Clubhouse offers is, it's open for everything. So you could be an actor, you could be a financial advisor, you could be a stylist, you could be a costume designer, you could be a chef. It's not just for actors. And if you have a question, you can start a chat room or you can join someone's chat room and listen in. And if you raise your hand in the app, you can get brought up to the stage and then you could say your question to the moderators on there. And I think there's been a bunch of cast directors recently who have been spending a lot of time on there. It's a very interesting new way of connecting. I connected with a few people that maybe I would have never connected with my whole life that were on there. Also, timing comes in place, being at the right time, right place. It's a thing. I just go on and then whoever's on is on, and then you never know who's going to be in your chat room. I had the head of ICM in my chat room last week
What? Oh my goodness.
of theatrical,
Yeah.
of theatrical. And I was like very like freaked out and also nervous. I was nervous and when the actors were asking questions and she was commenting, she was like, "Oh, I agree with Brandon. Oh, I agree with him." And I was like, "Oh my God, am I doing something right?" Because I think as a rep, it's me and my team and my assistants, and I don't really get feedback from the outside world. So it's interesting getting feedback from the outside world, and it was interesting of having someone who is amazing at what she does, and being involved with being the head of the theatrical department and getting feedback and learning from her also. See, that's what Clubhouse does. It's not just me speaking. I cannot speak, and then I listen to the other people, and you can learn a lot of information from those top industry, people. So I think it's a very interesting new way of communicating.
Yeah, I'm super into it myself. Uh, okay, I know we have guests that have a ton of questions for you, so I want to get to those. But before I do that, I subject my guests to a speed round of questions. It's fairly harmless, but it's just me asking and you answering with the first thing that comes to you from the top of your head. Are you prepared to subject yourself to that?
Sure.
Okay, it'll be safe, I promise. Here we go. We're going to do this as fast as we can. What does comedy mean to you?
Fun.
If you could change one thing about this industry, what would it be?
Communication.
Better communication?
Better communication.
Do you think of yourself as successful?
Yes.
What's a funny word?
Funny word. Oh my God, you're really putting me on the spot.
Uh-huh.
Cauliflower. There's a reason why for that.
Okay. What's more important, self-expression or true respect from your peers?
True respect from your peers.
Is there anyone not invited to your funeral?
I hope not.
Okay. Is there anything every human being on the planet has a responsibility to do?
Be a better person. Be kind to one another.
Yeah, I would agree. All right. Thank you for indulging me in that. Let's take a look and see, take a look at some of the questions. Uh, huh. This is interesting from Dominique from overseas, I guess. The difference between a UK British comedy and a US American comedies, and can they combine successfully nowadays?
Well, look at Bridgerton on Netflix. So
Playback also?
yeah, I mean, look at like that show is one of my favorite shows right now. I mean, I watched all of it, and look how they look. I mean, kudos to Miss Shonda Rhimes, Shonda Land Media, but getting a British show into America and getting a hit is amazing. Look at also another show that's in British that I like. It's called Industry. It's on HBO Max, and that's British too. Um, I love British shows. I love British actors. I think there is some difference. There. You know what's different? Their training. I can see a difference from the training from the UK to America. It's night and day.
Yeah, I agree. As a comedy teacher, I could do an hour and a half on just that answer. But that was a good answer that you had. So regarding a talent manager's authority, should they be able to approve and permit any and all uses of the artist's image likeness and collect money on our behalf at their discretion? Generally, this Troy is thinking about red flags an artist should look out for when signing with their first talent manager. Do you have any advice in that regard? Sounds like they're talking about that whole in perpetuity situation.
I don't do in perpetuity in my contracts. My contracts are very fair. Some are just freelance. It's a handshake agreement, and we get to know each other. It's like dating. A next thing I do is a 6 month contract, and the next thing I do is a year contract. So I don't put anything in perpetuity um, for contracts. No.
Yeah, ultimately, Troy, I think that's it's a great question. I understand it, and it's just something that you just have to be forthright and communicate with the person that you're working with. As we kind of said earlier, there's really the smallest definition of really an agent or a manager or representative is to submit talent for the roles that they're appropriate for. I mean, in a nutshell, I mean, like if you had to just distill it to one line, but then everything else about doing the jobs is really about how that person wants to conduct their business, own their business. If they work for an agency, then the agency is going to have guidelines around how they can conduct their business. If you work for yourself, it gives you more latitude. It's just like all other professions, right? If you work for a corporation or a corporate entity, that's going to be the edict. If you work for yourself, you can create your own. So we always just have to be diligent and not be afraid to speak up for ourselves, to ask questions, ask what might seem like difficult or challenging questions, and get clear. And then if you're really still in the dark about something that's important to you, find the money and pay for legal advice if there's a question that's important enough to you. But ultimately, take care of yourself, and a lot of it is common sense. Cindy says, "How do you feel about teaming up with an actor um, who already has an agent, or do you feel with the extra team extension added more chances to get up to bat?" Or, in
It's
short,
so important. Yeah, absolutely. You have an agent. That means there's two people fighting for you.
yeah, I want fighters. That's what I want. How do you see the landscape for us both from Emory of the TV and film industry changing currently, COVID and post COVID? So, what do you think, Brandon? Are we? What are some of the major changes you've noticed? Do you think they're going to stay? What do you think?
The major changes that really being local hire these days. So if you live in LA and you're trying to audition for a New York show, unless it's a series regular, that's fine. But if it's something that's a little less than that, casting is really going to want you to be in that area right now, and they're being very strict on that. Uh, Another change is the COVID testing. So if you book a show on February 1st, you know it's probably not going to film February 1st because you need 3 full days of testing. So probably you have to make sure that say that was we'll push it. Say it was February 10th because today's January 29th. You need to make sure that you're good for the testing days too. So if you were booked on another show during those testing days, your communication again is super key because it could overact with what they need for, each production has their own SAG rep for testing these days. So it's super important that you have to be there or then you're not going to be on set. So I think that's like the biggest change that I see. Do I see a big change in the industry? Another big change, I think there's more opportunity for actors now. uh, people, people are laughing, right? When I say that, like, what? Yeah,
I'm
I'll explain. What?
no, I'm not. I'm absolutely with you. I think, but please,
There's
you.
more opportunities because now casting directors are giving more appointments out than they ever have before on Casted or EcoCast because now they don't have to, bring if they're bringing in only 10 people in during the day and it was in person. Now they might be bringing more opportunity because now they're home and all they can do is look at the first tape and go, I don't like the person, move on, move on. So now there's more opportunity for actors. There's more opportunity to get into classes on Zoom with teachers and coaches that live in London or live in Australia or live in New York and you're in LA that you never would have the opportunity to teach with them before because it was always in person. So I think there's more opportunity these days because of certain things, because of the digital space and forcing people to be digital. So those are some changes that I see. TV is definitely casting right now. Movies are definitely casting right now. There's a lot of pilots right now. There's a lot of stuff happening. So I think the industry, when people say, did it change? I think it's just there's a lot of protocols in place and different things right now, but production is still going and things are happening strong. I think it's the same, they're acting the same exact way except for different protocols now and making zones and having you only in certain zones to benefit your own safety as well as the other actors and production crew and everyone on the crew team safety. So I think that's the biggest change is the zones that are being put into place on production side.
Yeah, and I mean, I think our industry, is done a remarkable job in keeping people safe and stepping up to the plate. The unions got together, they powwowed, they talked about how to keep productions as safe as possible. Everything that you do is going to incur some risk, but overall, I think we've done a good job. And one of the ways that we are staying safer is an overall population is, as you said, the digital space. So, Emery, I would say, for a variety of reasons, we're never going to not be digital again. All of this is going to be a digital transaction moving forward because, say code went away tomorrow, we've discovered how much money and time we save. I already addressed it, but especially if you live in Los Angeles, I acknowledge all the other markets where there's hubs of production. But driving through the city and finding parking to get to a casting appointment it really eats into your day and it eats into productivity. And we don't have to do that anymore. It saves, renting casting offices. So it saves money financially. So I would just say moving forward, anybody who wants to really consider a career in show business, and it's so easy to do now, but get your backdrop, get your lights, get great audio and great sound, because you are going to be compared to other submissions in terms of the quality of them, not just the talent. Brandon, you just nodded big time on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have people trying to get away with subpar, not so great?
Yeah, and it doesn't work.
Okay, asked and answered. It doesn't work, kids. So yeah, you've got to have your own great setup. But the good news, and to me, it really is good news. I know actors are asked to pay a lot of money, but all businesses pay a lot of money in until the business starts paying them out, paying back out. All businesses are like that. So to me, the great benefit of all the self-taping that we're asked to do, a lot of actors still complain to me about it and say how burdensome it is, etc. I know it's a lot, but you also have a lot of control over your image, over the takes that you send. If a manager puts their eyes on it and says, "Can you redo it really quickly? Because I have an idea that I think will help," then you can redo it again. So I think there's a ton of benefits. So look for all of those. And if you want to be a professional actor, make sure you take care of your setup. If you're just starting out and don't have a reel, would it be appropriate to self-tape yourself doing scenes to send out to reps and casting directors? What's the best footage to send out for people new to the business? What do you think, Brandon?
Um, you can, but people really want to see I'm going to be honest. If you want the truth, people really want to see the TV credits and the footage. They don't want to see the scenes from class. They don't. Now, the scenes from class, the reason why people do want to see that is because they want to see what you're capable of. And if they want to take a risk or they want to put you on the roster and that's the only thing you have, then they will accept that so they can see your acting. So that makes perfect sense. Um, my office is a little different. I mean, people do submit scenes to me, and I encourage it if they don't have a reel or they can't get a reel. I think you have. It's the way of being in the business, right? You have to start somewhere. So, and that's your way of starting. So it's it is. A lot of reps don't really want that. I know because of Clubhouse and other stuff I've been on that this question comes up all the time. So, but I think you need to invest in yourself and do what you can. There's a lot of opportunities out there where you can get a reel for free with high footage and high end scene partners. Um, I don't want to say too much and give away too much because I don't need a bunch of companies coming after me. But there are companies out there you that will do your reel, and when someone pays for their reel, there needs to be a scene partner. So they audition that scene partner, and then you get that footage for free. So there is opportunities out there.
Boom. That was a good one. I think a good word for that question and questions, in that general category, you used it earlier in answering a different question, Brandon, is developmental. So I think what a lot of people don't understand coming into this business is that if you are newer, generally speaking, your first agent will be someone who's open to developmental talent, and that's the word the industry uses for newer talent, because you do have to start somewhere. Everybody's got to start with what you have, so it's fine. But what you would want to do in researching who might be an open door for you more than not is someone who's it's clear in their profile on their website, in whatever information you can research about the agency, if they're open to developmental talent, because then that helps answer the other questions. If I'm open to people who are literally just starting, maybe out of a conservatory, maybe they just graduated from a place that I teach, the American Academy of Dramatic Arts, I know that person's going to be 2021 and they just got their theater degree. So I might be okay if you had a nice setup like this and did an audition read, just so at least I can have a sense of your talent. I know you haven't had the time to put together a reel, but Brandon also gave a great suggestion. I'm just yes-anding it and saying, and also if you aren't represented yet, and do an audition style read and put that up as a clip on Actors Access, I don't think that's a bad thing with context around it, right? Knowing that you're just getting started, you're self-submitting for non-union projects, you don't have an agent, especially in COVID times, there's not easier way to produce a reel with a bunch of people around. And if you're an acting beast, that's also different. If you're only okay and do a read like this, it's gonna go fine. But I've actually seen people have success, union and non-union both, just to round out this answer, by just plopping themselves on a mark, getting great lighting, great sound, and acting the bejesus out of a really good scene and really giving it what for and putting that up. I have seen examples of that working. There's not one rule that will apply for everything and everybody all times in this business. And you got to be creative and work with what you've got to work with. So hopefully that was a complete answer from us both. What do you suggest to a new client who is SAG must join or eligible? Join now, hold off. What should they do?
You just hold off until you absolutely need to.
I disagree. Is it okay if I disagree with my guest?
Well, how about I explain a little long. If you're SAG eligible or you're a must join, the next SAG project you do, you're automatically going to have to join. So that's why I say hold off until, meaning you audition for the SAG shows, duh, and then when you get that opportunity, you know that you have to pay your dues. But there's some major opportunities, if you are also a commercial person that can do some of those big campaigns, like Mini Cooper just did a big campaign that was $30,000 non-union. So I think, well, you have that chance, then you can do that. So that's, how to explain a little bit more.
No, no, it's a good point, and I was being cheeky with you, but there is a lot to put onto the scales, and I think actors should really think about it. I know that there are some theatrical producers and productions. It can be confusing. Union wise, I'm not even talking non-union. Union wise, some casting directors will bring in talent to audition, but I know the producers won't hire them unless they've already joined, because things happen so fast. They don't want to deal with the must join process before the actor steps a toe on the step. So those are a few things to consider in thinking about that. And you would say, well, why would a casting director call an actor in knowing they haven't joined the union yet and it's a union show? Because they saw them in a workshop that they did and genuinely thought they were really talented and liked them. But production is taking a chance if they say, I want to hire the must join to some degree. All right, so an additional thought. How do you feel about your client submitting on projects as well as part of the team?
Sure.
All the help that the team can get. When you say British acting versus American acting is night and day, is one better than the other?
No, it's just different styles.
Yeah, that's
Not
rather.
better than that, it's just different styles.
Um, we've closed out our questions. I know you've got to get going. Do you have any other nuggets or kernels of wisdom, Brandon? You've been so.
I would say being prepared is super important. What I mean being prepared is not just being prepared for your scene. Even walking on the street is you have to be being prepared. Being in the elevator, you need to be prepared. You never know who's going to be in that elevator with you. You never know who's going to be online at the Trader Joe's 6 feet apart. That could be a big casting director or a producer that will talk to you if you're 6 feet apart, but they will talk to you. But you have to be prepared. And if you're rushing and something happens and there's emergencies, you need to take a deep breath and then go into the office if we're back into offices and do your scene. I think a lot of people get caught up on all this on drama and personal life, and then you have to really be prepared to keep that behind you and go and be focused into that moment, because that's what's going to book the room. And you're booking, the producers and casting directors and assistants and associates and network level executives to put you on that pin or to get you that offer. So I think it's important that you always need to be prepared. Even just walking on the street or the sidewalk, it's super important being prepared, because you never know what's going to happen in your career. And I think you need to use this digital space and use Instagram. I did 75 Instagram lives. So, I think it's important, if you follow me, it's at BAC Talent. And then you can learn a lot. I think going on other people's social media, casting director page as well, is super important, because there's certain groups that have casting directors that post their interviews as well, and you can learn about them. I know, I know of tons. So I think it's always just being prepared, as I would leave you with. And if you love what you do and stay with it, if the rejection is coming to you, make the rejection into something positive, because a lot of people get this rejection. Oh, I didn't get the role, or I was just pinned. Oh my God, I got pinned again. I didn't get it. What am I doing wrong? That means you're doing something right. That means you're getting into the room, you're at that level. And a lot of people are very hard on themselves. And, I think it's important that you don't be as hard on yourself. I think you need to do the scene, do it right, and then let it go and move on with your day. Stop thinking about what I did in that room because it's over with. What you did is what you did. You can't bring that back. And let it go. A lot of people, they get this urge to just keep it inside them, and it's unhealthy. And I think it's important to, do the best you can, but also be healthy at the same time, you know?
Well, Mr. Brandon, I think all of your clients are very lucky to have you as a rep. What a great, well-rounded answer. I learned from you. I'm sure our guests learned from you. I greatly appreciate you spending the time with our Chattable. So if we were all hanging out in rooms, like before, I would get I was Chattable mugs made or something, or a t-shirt, or I always want to give gifts to say thank you. So I don't have that, and we're virtual, so I do have these. So these are Louise Hay Power Thought cards. So how I conclude all my Chattables, and we're going to keep it going in 2021, is I'm just going to flick through these in a certain point, say stop. And I've decided in my mind that the spiritual forces of the universe decided that's the card you need to hear today. Okay, ready? Say stop.
Stop.
The universe decided this is your card. My life works beautifully. Everything in my life works now and forevermore. And that's what it says on the other side. So I'm going to leave you with that thought and give you deep thanks for joining us and helping our crew learn more about how this industry works today. So thank you very much.
Thank you for having me as well, and giving me the opportunity to express what I do as a rep and to help other actors on this platform.
Fantastic. Well, you have a wonderful rest of your day and a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you soon.
Thank you, guys. Have a good day.
Bye. See you. All right, that's it, everybody. Chattable is closed. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Bye.